hello, welcome, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, blah, blah, blah. Does anybody really even like Christmas music? I don't know anybody that does. We just had the Nexus Christmas party at Fresco in Smithfield, and we didn't play one Christmas song. I think that is an accomplishment. Nobody likes Christmas music. Oh yeah, rent control. That's the topic. Rent control has been and will be the topic for years and eons to come. Rent control has become a political tsunami, and I call it a tsunami of nonsense coming to crash on Rhode Island's shores, because rent control is not just a Providence issue, folks. It's a Rhode Island issue. It's a regional issue. And what I have discovered and what I will uncover for you is the cover-up of rent control. Rent control is a dirty, nasty, dark, mangy cloak that's covering up the true motivations of its proponents. It's covering up the true ideologies, the true goals, and the true destination that they hope to reach. And I used to say, I don't want to be a conspiracy theorist, right? I'm not going to be a kook. But what I've realized and what I've learned through my data cultivation, and I'm a harvester of information. You give me data and I'll harvest it. I'm a farmer, and I'm going to give you my crop. Today is my crop, the end of the year harvest for you. And it's been years and years of me going to these hearings, testifying, reading the papers, watching the news, watching the interviews, watching the press conferences, watching the grandstanding, going to the fundraisers, going to the realtor events, going to the business networking, the Board of Commerce, like all of that. I am like a sponge. I'm a sponge. I love two things I love: information and time. Those are my two favorite things. And those are arguably the most important things in your life. So I use them to my advantage, and I use them to calculate and make the best decisions for myself, for my business, for my colleagues, my clients, etc. So what I have discovered is that rent control has nothing to do with what they say it has to do with. It's not about being compassionate. It's not about making homes and apartments affordable. It's not about standing up to corporate greed. That's all shit. That's all nonsense. That's not what it's about. And I'm going to go through what it is about. And I typically don't have notes. I'm not a note guy. I like to freestyle. And as you've seen my videos over the years, I'm off the top of my head. And that's because I want you to understand I am a student of the game. I sit in the front row of the class. I'm never late. I'm always early. That's how I treat life. That's how I treat my business. So when people stand and read prepared, prescribed remarks, I don't trust them. I don't trust it. How can you trust somebody that's reading something that they probably didn't even write? That's the problem that I have with a lot of speeches today. Good evening. Welcome. Thank you for coming. How about that snow out there? Ha ha. Nothing. Might as well have a robot read it. So my point is, I typically don't have notes, but this has been something that I've been doing for years. This is my thesis. So I have to have my notes. I don't want to miss anything. And there's a lot of moving parts. So I'm going to get into why I believe what I do and what data and reasoning and evidence I have to back that up. And then also where this is going, where I think it will go, where I think it will lie, and what the future has in store. So thank you for watching, if you're still watching. And if you're yelling and throwing things at the screen, thank you also. That means you're still watching. So first things first, I'm levying and lobbying some pretty bold claims right now. I'm saying that politicians who you elected really don't care about your well-being. They don't care. They're using this as a feel-good, energizing rally call, rally cry. Because, folks, in today's very divided and divisive world, what's one thing that actually we all share in common? Oh yeah, we have to live somewhere. Oh yeah, that's becoming very expensive. Oh yeah, there doesn't seem to be an end in sight. Oh yeah, it's gone up a lot in recent years. And oh yeah, I would like to spend less on my housing. I would like to save money. So whether you're young, you're old, you're unemployed, you're employed, you're black, you're white, you're educated, you're uneducated, you live in rural area, you live in an urban area, it doesn't matter. Affordability crosses all demographics, all socioeconomic classes and statuses are affected by the cost of living. So therefore, that becomes a very powerful and persuasive tool for a young, rookie, and we can say inexperienced party or faction of a party to latch onto and to run with. And that's the far left progressives. They're new on the scene. They really haven't established any solid footing on any issues that can cross such a wide range of people and cover such a wide net. And affordability is what they have chosen to latch onto with the proposed solution. And that proposed solution, mind you, doesn't involve one shovel ever going into the ground or one crane ever going into the sky. Why has it become a political tool? These are all my theories. These are my thoughts. Why? Number one, why is because it's a loyalty test. It's not a housing plan. It's designed to force you to pick a side. You're for rent control or you're against it. There's no nuanced middle ground. Either you're compassionate or you're an asshole. That's all. So what that does politically is it makes people come out of the shadows that have been lurking around, never saying how they truly feel about it. It makes them and forces them to make a stand and take a position. So it's been a relatively taboo issue. Last year, for example, or last session, Enrique Sanchez brought forward rent control, and I believe he was the only sponsor on the bill, for example. Typically, these bills will have 10 people, but it just showed that no other legislator wanted to touch it, especially with him, the DUIs and the bad reputation and generally just the sloppiness of his appearance. Doesn't really dress like he works at the State House, etc. So people are kind of hesitant to align with him, inexperienced, etc. But to his credit, he's helping move and shift that Overton window and put up the Overton window. That's when something becomes initially is radical, it's unacceptable, how could you, never, but slowly over time it becomes like, oh, that's kind of reasonable, right? And then it's kind of popular. And then, oh yeah, we elect Mamdani. Now it becomes policy. Now it becomes normal, and it shifts. And an Overton window never stops. So something today may be popular, but in 10 years it could be totally obsolete. So to his credit, and to David Morales' credit, they're they are contributing to shifting that window of palatability at the State House. So what this issue is doing is calling out people so that they have to take a stance. And that's going to cause some internal rifts because, when you support a certain issue at the State House, you usually have a group or a clique of people that share like values with you, and you guys will kind of team up and do bills together or advocate together and endorse together, etc. So this issue is going to kind of polarize some people, and it's going to break up some of the high school cliques in the hallway. That's the first thing. And the progressives will be able to identify their allies, people that they can call in on the issue, and then people that are their enemies and that they can't lean into. And, those people will be cast aside. Second is this creates a permanent campaign issue. The goal by the progressives is to never solve the problem. Never. Because if they solve it, they've lost all this leverage, lost all this energy. And it's weird how that works in politics. When you solve an issue, nobody wants to hear about it anymore. Like right now, the president no longer really talks about the border because the problem's solved. And people almost forget about it. But 4 years ago, we had millions and millions of people, unvetted, undocumented, crossing the borders. It was a major issue then, but now that it's solved, you really can't campaign on it anymore. You can't fundraise from it. You can't rally up people. You can't get the news networks excited about it. It's no longer a story. So the progressives want to use affordability and the proposed solution of rent control as that everlasting issue. And right now I feel it will be a permanent campaign issue. They want to keep it alive. They want to keep donors engaged, and they want to keep voters angry. The best voter is an angry voter, of course, in your corner. They want people to be upset and angry at landlords. They want to be upset at us. Yeah, Greg charges so much. You shouldn't be having to pay that. He's greedy. He doesn't care about you. He's a corporate fat cat, right? Keep those voters angry so they keep contributing, keep donating, keep volunteering, keep voting. They want to keep this issue alive and well for a very long time. So if rent control passes, the new strategy is we're going to defend it. We're going to keep it there. If it fails, they're going to say, the fight's not over. We're just getting going. We're going to do it better. We're going to switch this. We're going to change that. The first time's the hardest. We need to get more people involved. We need you to donate more, right? That's how that would go. And then if it gets preempted by the legislature, then they're going to say, the speaker's the problem. The governor's the problem. So whatever happens, whatever direction it goes, they have a strategy and they have a playbook to keep it alive, keep it going. It's like a rally in baseball, right? Let's get another hit. Let's get another guy on base by any means necessary. Housing will become a forever crisis, and it's not something that they can ever fix. And I agree with that. I feel that the progressives can never fix the housing crisis. It's true. They can't fix it because it requires construction. It requires people like me, developers. It requires property managers. It requires motivation, incentive. It requires money, banks, lenders, I don't think they can ever fix it, and they're going to campaign on that for the foreseeable future. Next up, it turns governance into theater, which we're already seeing. You're seeing emotional testimony at the State House. You're seeing the villains and the heroes, right? Just like the movies. Applause lines, viral clips. You're seeing grandstanding by people like David Morales. And it's like reality TV on Capitol TV or at City Hall. It's something that they want to keep complex. They want another article. They want another story. They want another commission. They want another hearing. That's awesome. That generates more energy, more attention, more interest. And we all know in today's world, eyeballs and attention is the currency. It's not what's actually said. It's not the quality or the truthfulness or the legitimacy or the merit of what is said. It's just, are people watching it? Are they engaged? And that's why you see such a decline in what our society is interested in. It's all about attention. So they're calling attention to this issue, and it's getting people's attention because, back to the beginning here, it's about their wallets. And people vote with their feet, yes, but more importantly, they vote with their wallets. So anything that affects people's bottom line and how much money they have in their pocket, you will get their attention. They're going to confuse the hell out of the public, which they're doing. People aren't following it as astutely or intently as people like me. It also obscures it to prevent accountability. You can't really point a finger on one person or put a thumb on one exact, oh, that's the issue. It's very ambiguous. It's very amorphous. It doesn't really have a shape. You really can't identify it. You know it, but you can't put a on it. That's by design. And it also makes outcomes hard to measure because you really can't say this policy or this advocacy caused this. It's easy for them to just jump out and do this and say this and be this way because there's no way to kind of boil it down at the end to say, yeah, David caused this or Rachel caused this. You really can't do that. So they're all kind of hiding behind that cloak, that veil, that curtain, and that's all to their advantage. Next, they know it will face legal headwinds. That's also a feature by their design. Progressives are not naive to lawsuits. They know that, but they use lawsuits to their advantage. They will expect immediate legal challenges by me and other people and other organizations. They will expect injunctions from the court to stop the implementation. And they will also expect state intervention, which we will go over. Why does that help them, you ask? They get to say, we tried, folks. We tried very hard. They also get, in true cinematic fashion, they get a new villain. There's a new bad guy. Whether now it's the courts, it's the judge, it's the speaker, it's the mayor, it's whoever. It's me. It doesn't matter. They get a new villain. Every twist and turn is a new bad guy. Another guy, black and white, bad. And, they avoid responsibility for outcomes. They're not responsible for anything. Losing the case is still winning the narrative in their minds. All the while, the city of Providence and its residents, their voters, will be spending money and time like nobody's business. They're going to be lighting money on fire. The city will spend millions of dollars on defense. Oh, sorry, we're going to have to raise your taxes. We didn't account for $2 million in legal defense. And oh, I'm sorry, now your rent went up because the landlord's got to pay more taxes etc., etc., the city, Providence's credibility, people are not going to take the city seriously. People like me, investors, developers, lenders, all set. Big time people, like somebody who should be developing the mall or developing the Superman building, right? That Superman building's been vacant for 10 years. You're telling me we don't have one apartment in there? It just shows you they don't want solutions. There's a solution right there. You could put 300 apartments in there and they can walk down to Kennedy Plaza. What's the issue? We don't want a solution, Greg. We can't get people excited with solutions. Next would be it forces moderates into no-win positions. So moderates and technocrats will get trapped, meaning they support rent control, they damage housing production. If they oppose it, they're going to get primaried. So maybe somebody in Cranston, Warwick, North Providence, perhaps, maybe a West Warwick, kind of these suburban communities, like closely urban or moderately urban, that may not have supported rent control previously, have to shit or get off the pot as far as, oh, wow, if I don't support this issue, they're going to come after my seat. And I've been coasting, and I only have $9,000 in my campaign account. I don't want to get primaried. So it takes people in these outlying communities and kind of puts them on the hot seat. And I kind of mentioned that in the beginning there, where it's going to draw certain people out and shine light into darkness that typically was not there. So, and that to me, it becomes about policy. It's about ideological purity. Are you compassionate? Do you care about the urban communities? You need to help us. This pushes other councils in those areas further left. And that's why I said it's not just a Providence issue. It starts to spread like a cancer into these other communities that may have not taken up this issue or have taken it seriously at all. So that's why it needs to be stopped dead in its tracks in Providence. And we got to put the kibosh on it. And the fallout from that is experienced, pragmatic leaders exit politics. And then the activists and the ideologues and the political science majors come into power. So the old school, the old guard, those folks just say, you know what, I'm going to just retire and move to Florida, or I've had enough, or I can't hold back the water on this dam anymore. I'm going to get out of here. That's good enough for the progressives. Thank you. We don't have to primary now. We'll just get somebody else in there, uncontested. It also polarizes housing on purpose. So rent control reframes housing as a moral issue, a class issue, but it doesn't frame housing as a supply issue or a math issue or a systems problem. It makes it an emotional, social, cultural food fight. And I think their goal is to make housing, the issue of housing, a religion. And as we all know, once something becomes religion, facts no longer matter. Facts are the enemy of religion. And that's what the goal is here. So the fallout with that would be every compromise becomes betrayal. All right? And every alternative solution is suspect, it's suspicious, it's ridicule, it's lack of compassion, it's mean, it's unfair. So that's how that's being framed. Next, it creates a built-in excuse for failure, because when rents keep rising, and they will actually go up more than if rent control wasn't proposed, which I think it will be proposed January 8th at the council meeting. Once it's proposed, it's going to splash all over the news. Rents will start to go up from there because landlords will get nervous. Landlords will get scared. They will try to preempt the thought of rent control by maybe weren't going to raise their rents, now we're going to raise rents. Because if I can't raise it in the future, at least I'll raise it now. So you're going to see a spike in rents just as a result of the idea being put out into public forum. Just the idea, just the mention is going to make people raise their rents. And all the while, this will take years to navigate and wind through the court system. Rents will continue to rise. Developers will pull back. Banks will pull back. Government investment may even pull back. You're going to see all these people get cold feet in Providence. And that's not a good thing. That's a scary thing. And that hurts Mayor Smiley because he's running for re-election. And with all this pullback during this year to come, it's going to be hard for him to push through and persevere through that type of headwinds. Again, back to the topic here. A built-in excuse for failure. The progressives will say, and this is if it goes through, the law wasn't strong enough. We need to make it stronger. We need more control. Or there were too many exemptions, which is likely, exceptions that are going to be built in, or the courts weakened it, or the State House sabotaged it. If you notice the common thread among all that, the solution to all those problems is more control, more fundraising, more activism, more this, more that. That's what the goal is. So no matter what happens, there's a play. But when it falls on its face, they can still keep playing it. Never stops. The same issue will keep coming back year after year, stronger, broader, and riskier. Last one here, I would say it's going to scare capital away. It's going to make people park their money elsewhere. And what I think their biggest flaw is in that department is, if I want to spend money, if somebody wants to spend money, Rhode Island is a very small area. So it's not as pigeonholed if you're in California or Texas or Florida, where it's such a big landmass that where are these people going to go, right? We got them captive here. There's a lot of doors in and out of Rhode Island. Connecticut, Mass, maritime border with New York. We're very close to different options, different markets, different opportunities. So Providence trying to take this very virtuous, high ground, big bad wolf position as we're going to be the leader of morality. It's dangerous because the money will just go somewhere else and it's not too far. I'm going to invest in Boston. I'm going to invest in New Haven. I'm going to invest in Hartford. I'm going to invest in Worcester, in Springfield, in Fall River, in New Bedford, in Brockton, in Taunton, in Woonsocket. That can be very simple for somebody to say, I'm not going to, I skip Providence. No, I'm all set with that. It's so close and so nearby to so many other ecosystems that it's very easy for lenders to pause, for developers to pass, for small owners to sell, smaller landlords to just dump their stuff. I'm all set. Thanks for the memories. I'm going to Naples. It creates a lot of exit doors for capital. And as a city that has improved over the last 2 decades, 3 decades, you want to encourage capital to come through your door, not to leave out the back door, or in this case, leave out the emergency door. That's what this is. Somebody pulls the fire alarm, You're getting out the window, you're getting out the roof, you're getting out the side, the basement, whatever. You're getting out. And when you have that financial exodus, it's not good. Because now we got to raise taxes. Now we got abandoned buildings. Now we got this. Now we got foreclosures. And that tsunami starts to build. And you can't regulate your way out of that type of disaster. Not at all. So they're really trying to destroy what has taken decades and decades to accomplish, for people to feel comfortable in Providence, to people to want to have dinner in downtown Providence. That wasn't the case. Providence used to be a very crime-ridden, desolate place. You didn't go to Providence at night. Now you got streets lined up, you got tables outside, you got lights hanging, you got festivities, you got the water fire, you got all this excitement and positivity. And, something like this will begin the collapse of all of that work and all of that money and all of that push that has happened. So the fallout there would be only larger institutional players would survive. And that's the exact opposite of this rhetoric. They're going to get what they don't want. With this type of push, you're just going to get the big dogs that stay. And the big dogs, they can handle this. They can pay. They can fade it. So the big point here is that, it's not about, rent control is not about helping people and making things more affordable. It's about owning the issue. It's a political wedge. It's a purity test. It's a litmus test. And it's a fundraising platform forever. That's really what it is, and that's what they're using it as. I also wrote this. I wrote, the tragedy is that the people who pay for this political theater are renters 5 years from now. Now that I've outlined why it's a political tool, I also want to outline why it is being proposed on face value, right? To the general public who don't look at things as deeply as somebody like me would. The face value reason is that rents are up, inflation has occurred, wages are lagging, and voters are pissed off. So those are the real kitchen table reasons for the common man and woman. And rent control is easy to explain. We're going to control rent. It sounds compassionate, right? It sounds caring, and I'm looking out for you, and you spend too much. It's arm around approach. And like I said before, it requires zero cranes, zero zoning reform, zero supply, zero shovels. All it requires is a liberal arts degree. That's all it requires. Actually, it's recommended. It's not required. That's to the public how it's being explained. The messaging is that housing is a human right. Landlords are greedy. Corporate ownership is bad. We don't want these big corporations coming in and buying up everything. But like I just mentioned, that's going to be the consequence. But in reality, what they're not saying is that rent control doesn't lower rents. Doesn't lower them. Oh, you're paying a lot now? It'll never go down. Rent control doesn't help lower anything. What helps lower is increasing the supply. Let's simplify it like, say the price of, how about this, eggs recently? The price of eggs went up so high. It was like $10 a dozen, which I still paid because I love eggs. You don't enact egg control, right? You don't cap the price of how much eggs can cost. You call farmers and say, we need you to make More eggs. Make the eggs. Get the chickens, lay the eggs. That's what we need. Simple. So, rent control. Let's cap the rents. No, let's build more houses. It's so simple. What came first? Rent control or the egg? When will it be presented? I think it will be presented on January 8th, and it's going to be proposed as a rent stabilization ordinance. So it's going to be framed as annual caps on rent increases, meaning you can't charge more than 5% or whatever. It's going to have longer notice requirements, meaning if you want to raise rents, instead of 60 days, which it just got changed to from 30, now it's going to be 90 or 120 or 180, whatever. And then it's also going to have hardship language to survive the inevitable court cases. So they're preparing for that. And who is leading the charge on this? It is the progressive members of the Providence City Council. That's who's in charge of this issue right now. And then also tenant advocacy groups and activist organizations like our good friend Dan Denver over at Reclaim Rhode Island. Put up my favorite picture of Dan Denver. Take a look at this one. God, I love that picture. Nothing like a rent control enthusiast in his boxers showing his balls, stepping on his dog's neck. That's my kind of guy. And Dan didn't text me that photo. He posted that photo. So if you have any questions, don't ask me. Ask Dan. But in any way, it's guys like Dan that are advocating for these issues and showing up light in the loafers, hey, I'm here for the tenants because they don't have a voice. And, I've never owned a property in my life, but I'm going to tell you how to run yours and what's best for you. It's people like that work for nonprofits, that get paid from government funding. They've never owned a small business. They've never dealt with any of the things that we have to deal with, and they never will. But they are the ones that are the loudest, and they get to speak first at all the hearings and all the testimony, and then a guy like me gets to go last, right? Oh, I'm here from this organization. Oh, I'm here from that organization. Thank you so much for hearing us. We appreciate it. Hello, Senator Mack. Hi, how are you? Playing the whole niceties and the whole kiss-ass shit. It's all theater. It's all theater up there. But in any event, those are the people and organizations that are behind this, supporting it. Who's not on board are people like the mayor, the governor, the speaker, lenders, builders, the trades, developers, anybody who actually has a brain, we could say, or an interest in finance and understand how it works. Essentially, it's the people that have no qualifications or experience are creating this sweeping legislation that can tear down a regional economy in no time. We got the inmates running the asylum. That's what we got going on here. Thankfully, the speaker does not support it, and that comes into play later. So what's going to happen is the council will pass the ordinance, okay? And it's going to be introduced as a city ordinance. It requires a simple majority. That's to initially pass it. The mayor's opinion is irrelevant. After that gets passed, the mayor will veto it instantly. He's going to send it back to the council with his objections. Then this is what's going to happen here. The city council will override the mayor's veto with a supermajority. 10 of 15 to vote in favor overrides the mayor's veto. And then it becomes law. It's all set. Okay? It's enacted. The mayor becomes irrelevant to a degree. There's nothing he can do to stop that. So he can go on Channel 10, he can go Pro Joe, he can whatever he wants. It doesn't matter, okay, at this stage. The mayor still matters, though, when it's overridden, because it's going to weaken the city and their argument in court. So the courts are going to look at whether local leadership is unified. And the council overriding the mayor's veto is going to show a clear divide for the court's point of view of council feels this way, mayor feels this way. There's no unification on the issue. If they both agreed on something, council and mayor, and it went before the court would say, oh yeah, everybody's in agreement on this issue. It makes it easier for them to make their decision. In this case, there's going to be that divide, okay? So second point here is it's going to encourage state intervention. So the mayor has relationships with the governor, with legislative leadership, with certain state agencies, with the speaker, and since the mayor will be opposed, state preemption becomes a likely path if the courts don't solve that for us. And state preemption means that the speaker, Joe Shekarchi, calls in a vote for this issue. So all 75 representatives would vote on it. And if they voted that Providence doesn't have that authority, the issue becomes dead. It's done. It's over. It's dead like a dog. It's all set. But that would be the second bite at the apple. I feel that the courts should handle it first. So, just a little bit deeper on that, the state is not the city's friend in this issue because they're less likely to defend the city's authority because now they're sticking their neck out if they were to defend rent control and say that Providence does have the authority. It causes a lot of spending of political capital. And one thing I've noticed on Capitol Hill is people don't want to spend their political capital, and that's a metaphor for their juice. They don't want to squeeze their juice unless they have to. And this is not a hill that legislators want to die on, in my opinion. So I think the state would be less inclined to defend the city's authority. That's, like I said, it's going to slow projects. It's going to kill deals that may be on the fence right now or things that are in motion. And that's even before a lawsuit happens. So that fallout, that will happen. So the council is going to do it anyway because, again, same thing. Energizes voters, creates the we tried thing, and then it forces the state to kill it publicly, and then it shifts blame upward, which is a good thing. Because if the speaker calls a vote, kills it, then they can say, see, he's bad. He shouldn't be the governor, or whatever. And it's going to make some people retire, force them out, and it's going to create room for some of these people to elevate. And there's the old expression, you mess up, you move up. And that's what can happen here. So to summarize, the ordinance passes, the mayor vetoes, the council overrides, the lawsuit gets filed immediately, an injunction would be requested, meaning that it's not implemented until it reaches its solution, and it's going to be in legal limbo for a couple, 2-3 years. And all the while, new housing is going to slow, renovations are going to slow down, supply gets tighter, and rents go up. And I can't wait for rents to go up because during this time, we could say, you guys called for rent control. Why are the rents going up? I don't know. Rhode Island is a home rule state. So that means that gives the council more authority to make decisions, right? It gives them a bigger menu. But housing regulation can and will be viewed as a statewide concern and a statewide issue. So ultimately, the Rhode Island Supreme Court could say that Providence doesn't have the authority here. And that's what I think is likely going to be the crux of the decision. And also part of the lawsuit should be claims of overreach, takings, due process, and even contract interference. So those lawsuits will come from people like me, and we'll see who wants to do it. I think Lauren Jones would be a good candidate. Just throwing this out there. I don't think it will happen by any means, but I still want to throw it out there. If it does pass, I think it would be so watered down that it would actually do nothing to moderate rents, lower them, or create more housing. But they could say, we passed it, we did it, we got it. But it would be like a zombie. It would be nothing. It would be a big nothing. But to the untrained and not as inclined voter, they could say, oh, they passed rent control. Yeah, but that's very, very unlikely. So those are my thoughts in a nutshell. Cities that actually lower rents or stifle them from getting out of control typically will upzone, and Rhode Island is already doing that. Upzone means that you allow more development than you normally did on a certain square footage parcel. For example, maybe you were only able to build a 2-family, but now you can build a 3-family. Or maybe you can do a 2-family with an ADU, and an ADU has become very popular. Cities also will approve projects faster, and I think like in Coventry, for example, I spoke out against the development that's proposed there, and it's all done under the comprehensive plan, which means that the developer goes before the Coventry commission, and it's only one board. So it's not like he's going to the zoning board and the planning board, etc. It's all condensed, but the trade-off there is that 25% of that development needs to be affordable, low income, so the state's getting their say, and but the developer's getting speed and efficiency. So, but in any event, that gets projects approved faster. Cities also reduce parking mandates, like in Pawtucket, where my office is located downtown. There is no parking requirements for any development. Zero. Like zero parking requirements. And that's to encourage people to build up. So cities also will encourage density. And you take something like the Fane Tower, which I believe was like 600 something units, shot down. Developers spent millions and millions on pre-construction and soft costs, hired the best in the business, Eric Zwena from ZDS, to design a beautiful building, and it got shot down. And I believe some of the complaints were it changed the wind patterns of downtown or something. It's just crazy stuff. So you take the Fane Tower, you take Superman building, there's 1,000 units right there. That would make a major dent in the Providence market to help control rents, because we're all not fighting for the same housing supply. But those things are undeveloped. And the final thing cities do that actually lower rents is they work with capital instead of chasing it away. So they should be working with somebody like me, who has a track record of development and management and investment, and I'm a Rhode Island resident, I'm young, I'm handsome. I'm sorry, I'm getting off topic here. Somebody like me gets it, and somebody like me is not going away, and my runway is long. I can help. I have resources, I have networks, I know the people, I have the systems. I can help you develop. Put me on that Superman building. I'll get that thing wrapped up. I'll get that capital stacked nice. Give me a stab. And I emailed Michael Crossan, who's in charge of the Superman building, and I said that, Michael, let me help. What can I do to help? I can help. No response. Whatever. And then up in Woonsocket, you got John Brian, okay, who's testifying at the State House this last session, saying that Woonsocket's got too much subsidized housing and we shouldn't be bearing the burden for the state and shouldering all the weight, and that other cities and towns should be taking their fair share. Meanwhile, I developed 32 units in his district and I don't get a single damn phone call or anything. Hey, thanks for developing in my district. Melissa Murray, my senator, no call from her either, because they're chummy. They're nice. They get along. They don't like me because they don't like Lisa Baldelli Hunt, the former mayor. So you have these political feuds and long-standing relationships that get in the way. It's drama. It's more theater of things actually getting done. Me putting 32 units, market rate, high caliber units in an old church in the most depressed neighborhood in Woonsocket. I put that in. I don't get one phone call. Hey, how'd you do that? Hey, can we do that here? Hey, can you come to this town? Hey, can you help this developer? Hey, can you hey, can you come speak at this hearing? Nobody called because, like I said, nobody wants a solution. I bring solutions. They bring problems. They got Dan Denver speaking. They should have Greg Rice speaking. It's a joke. So, whatever. I'll still carry on doing my thing, but this is all years of notes, years of experience, and it will only increase. I will only continue to listen and learn and sit in the front row of life. I love it. I love it. I do it every day. And it's a passion, it's a lifestyle. I wake up every morning and I say, damn, what's going to happen today? I love it. I can't get enough of it. So as you can tell, I'm not aggravated. It doesn't bother me. I just figure out how to maneuver. What do I got to do? How do I get there? There's always a road. There's always a way to get to your destination, and there's always obstructionists. There's always speed bumps. So nobody's going to get in my way, and nobody should get in your way either. And I encourage you to reach out and join the Rhode Island Coalition of Housing Providers, because finally landlords are united and cohesive and on the same page with one another. And that was one of the benefits of COVID. It's weird to say that. The benefit of COVID was that landlords got their shit together because they started taking away our rights. So now, these types of issues, we can meet and we can show force, and we have a respected voice at the State House. You know, I've yet to see anybody at the State House that can pass anything in our favor. It seems like we're always on defense, which is not good. And a lot of the people at the State House couldn't even deliver a pizza if they worked for Domino's. There's a lot of lightweights up there, a lot of spineless people, but that's okay. We'll figure that out. But we need legislators that have the gusto and understand that, listen, we got the houses. We got the money. We got the roofs over everybody's head. Why would you not want to align with us? We're the ones that own the businesses and pay the taxes and contribute to the local economies and hire the vendors and pay the companies and all the stuff. And I haven't seen any legislators that have stepped up to help our cause in a meaningful way. Some have stepped up, but again, they don't see us as a viable source at this point. I don't get it. But again, it's more that political theater. And there's a lot of behind the scenes stuff that I don't know about. But I also know, allegedly, there's a lot of drinking going on at the State House. A lot of late nights and a little sippy. And, that's unverified, but that's the scuttlebutt, is that the Capitol is, it's like a after hours college dorm sometimes. People are drinking. People are hanging around. That's not a good thing. But hopefully you learned something, and hopefully I created one thought, one question, or spurred one idea, or I motivated you to do something. That's the goal here, is to get you excited the way that they're energizing their voters we want to be energizing you. And to be clear, Nexus manages rental property so tenants watch our channel. And if you're a tenant watching our channel right now, I want you to understand that rent control would hurt you. Rent control would not help you. Like I said, your rents are going to continue to go up. The condition of units will only get worse because landlords can't afford to fix things. People are going to get out of the business. They're not going to want to manage your property. You're going to get corporate institutions that come in that don't give a shit about you. And you're going to see the decline of an already elderly housing stock. The average age of a property in Rhode Island is like 70, 80 years old. Most of the stuff was built between 1920 and 1940. So that needs to be cared for. That needs to be maintained. And they're making it very hard for people want to do that. That's a dirty job. Being a landlord is a very difficult and dirty job. And we do it every day, thanklessly and tirelessly, 24/7, 365. And what do we get in return? We get a big old pile of shit. Any questions? Don't let me know. Call David Morales and he'll answer them for you. And if you have any questions for me in all seriousness, you can put them in the comments field below. We'll get right back to you. Once again, Greg Rice from Nexus Property Management. Your property in the future of that property managed.